People think that entrepreneurship is all about the business.
That's not true. Absolutely not true. Once you know yourself, who you are, what do you want, what you already know within yourself, you will definitely be successful. That I guarantee you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs. Today we are going into part 2 of the Time and You series. In part 2, we're going to be talking about how to manage time. Last month, we discussed the concept of time and why time is so important for you to manage, and just general principles about time and you. Today, we're going to go into some more actionable stuff, which is how to manage the time that's given to you. Good evening, Venga.
Good evening, Ikram. Good evening. Good evening. And for those of you who are going to celebrate Diwali tomorrow, may I wish you a very good day. And
yes, happy Diwali.
And think of the people that have passed away. Today is the day for that. That's what's to look at your past and who is gone. And I hope that you have a good prayer, whatever that is, okay, whatever you do. And have a nice day tomorrow, okay? And Ikram, we hope all of them, those who are celebrating it, have a wonderful day and a wonderful life.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Venga, how to manage time. This is your specialty. If I would say of all your many specialties, this would be one of your primary specialties.
My foundation.
Yeah.
My foundation. See, Ikram, I think one of the things that made me realize the importance of time came from the onset already. I was young. Although I was very young, I was able to distinguish between nature, animals, and human. I was very young, yet I could see the difference between nature, animals, and human. See, nature, actually, without the help of human, nature grows by itself. I have seen during the war and even after the war, how things that were destroyed came from the ground again. Nature has a way to repair itself. I understood that, okay? And what was amazing to me at that time, I do not know about photosynthesis and I do not know all that. What I know, that if you put a seed and just pour water, the tree will grow by itself. And if you find some wild animals, which was around at the time, I mean, I'm not talking about lion and tiger, even small animals. If you feed them, they will survive. So I begin to understand that a tree at that point in time, how does it grow by itself? Why does it grow by itself? How does it know where to grow? These are questions that I asked. And animals, as an example, they eat, they become healthy, they reproduce, and they die. Tree can grow as long as the roots are giving it food. As long as. But in the case of human, we were different. We were doing so many things. We're different from the nature, we are different from animal. And in the old days, people are human. See, they knew what to do, what not to do. Okay, that's how it was. I begin to realize that the human must do something, meaning he's constantly doing something. Either he's sitting down talking or he's doing something. this intrigued me. Say, what's the difference between animal, human, and nature? It did. So I begin to examine my own self. No? That's one of the reasons why I wanted to learn how to read and write English. One of the reasons, in order to explore, because I found that at that time already, that the easiest language to learn, aside from Chinese, which I already knew, but not the writing part. I can speak, but I cannot write. In conversation, I can pick up orally, I can. But if I want to read, that's going to take a long, long time. So I took up English and tried to make that happen. Now, in the sense that it is by learning English, I begin to learn. And that's why also, eventually, I got into the pharmaceutical industry, because I was interested in the human. This is a whole lot of things. So for this session, I want our viewers and those who are following this program to really recognize that you as a human, I as a human, and you, Ikram, as a human, we have tremendous ability. This ability has happened because of two things. One, we have a body, and this body is an accumulation of food that come from nature. Actually, that nature is able to turn soil, okay, really soil into fruits and vegetables, and it's able to do that. That is another part that also intrigued me. Nature, who takes the rubbish, they say that if you want to have a very nice lotus flower, go to the worst place, really dirty place, and there you will see a lotus flower, which is true. You know that, okay? So nature has been able to take everything that is put onto the earth and convert it into food that we can eat. Okay? Animals eat the plants, but it also eat other animals, and then it lives a life, reproduce, and die. Human, on the other hand, okay, we also eat this vegetable and animal food, whatever that is, and we have developed this body, the entire body, including, because of what we ate and all that, we have transformed. As a human, we have transformed. What has transformed? First of all, this body has transformed completely from what it was 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 5,000 years ago. This body has transformed completely, very different.
Absolutely, yep.
Second thing that transformed is our brain. We started off with the reptilian brain, reptile, and then it added on to the neurocortex. The neurocortex is different from the reptilian brain. We have that too. We have that. As a reptile, we know we have to put boundaries. We know what we can do, what we cannot do. We will not let other people come into our territory as a reptile, like a crocodile as an example, okay? But when we attached it with the neurocortex, we became a different human. We begin to think, we begin to use part of the reptilian brain and develop the neurocortex. Today, as I speak to you, in the 21st century, we have a huge amount of neurocortex in us, which is actually expanding and becoming better and better and better. You will realize that my father was not as clever as me. My children is cleverer than me. You will realize that yourself too, that your children are cleverer than you. This is because of the neurocortex that we have. Now, the neurocortex is something that is constantly, using its power. and it knows only one thing, to look outward, meaning it expands all the time, wanting to know how many universe we have, what is this, what is that, why is a human like that. It's always computing and doing things. Human, the current human cannot cope up with the expansion. And that's why you find many mental diseases people have. Okay. And also at the same time, the virus like the COVID has also been taken by us, and the body has absorbed it, and it also is partly helping this brain to even become better. One of the things that we don't know how to manage, Ikram, is our intelligence. In fact, many of us, our intelligence have turned against us. The only thing we are using is the intellect part of intelligence, which is why we are constantly dissecting every information we have. See, we have a power. We have 8 types of memories in us, 8 types of memory. And we are absorbing all this, whatever we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, and we touch. All these are stored in a memory. And constantly, the intellect is acting, is going into this information, dissecting it, looking at it, 360 degrees again and again. But the intelligence part is quietly sitting below you and managing all your organs, making sure it does the proper repair, makes you sleep well, intelligence part of it. But it is not a thing that is above the intellect. The education system, ever since the 1900s till now, has been to develop and let people see the intellect, because they can quickly recognize it. They cannot recognize the intelligence, but they can recognize the intellect, but they don't know how to divide it. They think intellect is the intelligence. So that's why we're jumping from one thing another. Let me give you one example. We are hooked on, or in fact, we are addicted to handphone, now the smartphone. Why is it like that? Because intellect and the smartphone can interact very quickly. You want something, go to Google. Quick answer. Quick. Intelligence requires time and effort. Let me give you a quick example before we get there. Number one, when you set for any exam in a hall, when you sit and you want to write the paper, you are given a time limit. You will notice that you are struggling to put all the answer into the paper, and some of the answers won't come, although you know it, but it's not coming. And then you wonder why. Why is it like that?
Yep.
Right or not? Has happened to you, I'm sure.
Yes.
But by the time, Ikram, when you leave the hall, suddenly all the information comes. And then you ask yourself, why the hell didn't my brain help me when I was doing the paper? The simple reason is, the more pressure you put onto the neurocortex, the less effective it will be. We don't know how to term it. We call it stress, we call it emotion. We use a lot of English words to describe it. No one is able to actually explain it fully. What is it? Okay, even I can't. But what I did was, when I learned to read and to write, the first thing that attracted my mind was this. How do I manage at that time, I don't know between intellect and intelligence. I thought I was trying to manage my intelligence. So every time I thought of something, I quickly wrote it down, not to forget it. That was my starting point. Was that the right thing to do? I don't know, no? But that's how I got hooked onto it. So everything I did was to manage this brain. I did not know at that time that I was trying to manage my intelligence or my intellect. I don't know. But that's how I recognize that I in order to manage this brain, I have to develop a tool. And the tool I developed was, the first one was writing. That I learned as I stood on the table trying to write the word A on a sandbox. It became a very powerful tool in my life. Everything I thought about, I wrote it down. Everything when somebody talking about which attracts me, I quickly write it down. I never ever stopped writing. I can tell you, Ikram, it took me a lot. You know, and I know this, okay? That is, I'm not very good at spelling. I can write it for my understanding.
Yeah.
I check for spelling. Even now, I check for spelling. Because my ability to visualize and capture the information was so quick and so fast that if I don't write it down, I'll forget it. So you'll see me having tons and tons of books in my house. You'll have tons and tons of material written, which is sitting on the top shelf of my house. Everywhere I write. I begin by writing to manage my thinking. That's how I started. To manage my thinking. I didn't know the difference between intellect and intelligence, but I knew I was thinking. And sometimes the thinking was the same old thing. But then I began to question that and became better. So I learned at a very young age that if you write down every thought of yours, you will be able to manage your brain. That's what I knew. It is now I know that actually what I tried to manage was the intellect, one part of the intelligence. And also at the same time, connecting that intellect into the 8 dimensions of memory that we all have, how to manage that through this writing process. So let me say this very clearly, okay? In order to manage yourself and manage the one resource that you have, which is equal to everybody else in your life, that is this human body, this brain of yours, and the one other resource outside of that is time. Time is the sunrise to sunset and sunset to sunrise. That circle must be managed very, very well. So it's by writing alone, if you can manage this, then you have a hope that you can manage your life and time better. So this life is precious. So is time. And you know what? Time is limited. This life is also limited. That's why they say in the Tamil language, they say it very nicely. When somebody dies, they don't say he died. No, that is a stupid word. They say kalamaitanga. Kalamaitanga, meaning what? Time has passed for this body. Kalamaitanga, meaning time has come and gone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You see?
Yep.
Very nice description, isn't it?
Yes.
So this also I learned whenever I went to funeral at the time. I saw that the Indian people, I saw Chinese people, but the only people who said this were the Tamil people. Kalamaitanga. There were tears and shout and all, but still finished. After they cremate the body, it's over already. So what is the significance of it? That I learned at a very young age, that whenever you are thinking of something, the moment you write it down, you will be able to go back and look at it and expand what you want to do with it. So that writing is the first tool I discovered. The second tool that I discovered was I must have an objective, meaning I have to have a goal. Today, what do I want to do? Not what I'm going to achieve, no? Finally, no. The goal was never the answer. The thing, whatever I want to do it, which I learned later on is a process. Whatever I want to do, I must do it. So I had at the time developed my own little, they used to sell diaries, very big, one page like that. No? I don't know whether you know that. No, it's just a date only. No? I used that to create my own way of saying, hey, today I want to do this. Sometime I wrote down more than what I could do. I realized I can't because of time limit. So I set a goal. A goal meaning this is what I want to do today. And the third thing I learned, Ikram, very, very important to me, was everything I did, I will sit down after whatever I do. Now I do it. But in those days, I sat down at the end of the day, regardless of time. I will go through everything which I did for the day and ask myself, hey, I did this. Can I do it in a better way? It takes so much of time. Is there a way to reduce it? I didn't think in the term of time, but can I make it better? Like even repairing a bicycle or fiddling with a car or whatever I did, even going to a home to serve a noodle, whatever I did, I examined it. Is there a way to improve it or not? That, I can assure you, did not come from the reptilian brain, because reptilian brain, good, okay, good. But when he said, no la, I didn't realize that. Only now I know science have developed that the neurocortex is the one that is looking at it and saying, no, there's a better way to do it. You can improve it. The questioning, this is why we are constantly expanding. We want more. Like you know very well, Lana, what car is not enough? We want 3 cars, Lana. Okay, and we want 4 wives, Lana. We want more money, la. We want this. This is what the neurocortex is doing to us. But we need to manage that. Only if you learn to manage the way you are thinking, the way you are reacting, then you will be able to do that. So once again, the first one is to capture it. The second is to execute it. What is it that I want to do today? And then the third one is to actually go through and say, is there another way to do it? Is there a better way to do it? By this simple process, I wrote my first book called How Long Can You Wait for Result? If you remember, in that book, I've discussed many things. But one of the things that I talk about is the fact that we don't know how to manage what we have. The brain that we have, we don't know how to manage it.
Yeah.
Today, there are so many things. For instance, you know what is Vipassana meditation, right? Vipassana meditation.
No. It sounds familiar. I've come across
exactly. It's the man who developed this was an Indian in Burma. And what happened was he used it, and he called that mindful meditation. Vipassana meditation is mindful meditation. 2,000 years old, no?
I see.
Okay, developed by one man. Okay, but anyway, but that mindful meditation is now been seen in many ways, no? Okay, I'm not saying they're right, I'm not saying they're wrong, but the origin of that is mindfulness. They started that. We begin to realize 2,000 years ago already that this question of managing our mind is extremely important. All that I've read later on in life. But as a little boy growing up, learning, and this is how I managed myself. I write everything down. I distinctly tell you this. Every single day, I know exactly what I want to do. There is no such thing as ad hoc. I know exactly what I want to do. But later on, I realized it is not possible for someone to block all his day, hour for hour. That's why I developed a system called A. If you can, because you don't know how people are reacting, because people react in different ways. So in order to manage yourself, you do not plan for more than 60% of your day, which is the wake hours are 16, but 60% of 16, you know, like 9 over hours, right?
Yep.
And then you can use that 40% to deal with the ad hoc things. It's how you sit down and organize. This is where I learned about organizing and prioritizing, and lots of things came out of that.
To be honest, this was one of the, I would say, the most crucial or key tweak that you taught me about time management, which is to actually only manage 60% of your time and leave 40 for ad hoc things, because ad hoc things come every day. Suddenly a colleague asking you for this, an issue happening, and when I was planning my entire day, it was very frustrating, and then you get behind on things. But when you start managing 60% and leaving 40% for things you never know may happen, time management becomes so much easier.
Yes, correct. Because why? Because the resources that we have every day, you have the same 24-hour, end of the day, that disappeared already. And a new 24-hour come. But what we do not understand is whatever we have not used that time is gone forever. And every day you get the new 24-hour. We are not managing that 24 hours well. You realize that, huh? I think everybody listening to the program will understand that.
Absolutely.
And it's when people say, like, for instance, hey, you know, I wish there was more time. Of course, you have 48 hours a day. You have. But it's how, the more I give you, the less you will manage it. The less I give you, the better you will manage it. Look at the poor people. Even with a small income, they can manage a family, maybe have 5, 6 children, even then. Okay? They can feed. They can, isn't it? Whereas in the case of people who have a lot of money, they end up with hypertension, diabetic, and I don't know what else. I have emotional distress, stress distress. I have a lots of medical problems. The more money I have, the more health problem I have. You understand what I'm saying or not?
Yes. Yeah.
Which also shows that people, when they have more, they don't know how to manage it. It's when you have little, you'll manage it better.
Correct.
I always look upon this. You need to manage every single day well. That's a starting point. If you cannot manage every single day and account for it, meaning become responsible to account for the 24 hours that you had. Did you sleep well? How many hours you slept? If you didn't sleep well, why did you not sleep well? What is bothering you? Why is it bothering you? And if you don't answer all these questions, the next day is not going to be any better than the previous day. So again, simple. How do you examine yourself to improve yourself? That's responsibility. Each day must account. Every single day is an accountable day.
That's the review portion.
That's right.
Right? Yeah.
That's right. That's correct. Because you know why? After you're dead, nobody bothers. And if you think there's something down there or up there, some bloody stupid thing like that, it won't happen. It's you must remember that in this day, in this hour, what have you done?
Sorry, Venga, I just want to interject very quickly here. Can you, I'm just trying to, so that our viewers can understand review better, can you give us an example of how you do your review from your own life?
See, one of the first thing I realized, that is the difference between a plant and an animal and a human. I found out that whatever I did, now I'm talking about at age, between the age of 10, 12, 13, that time, everything I did, if I sit down and think about it, I can do it better. That is how it started. I mean, even like washing a cup, cleaning a plate, serving, going to a house to knock and ask them, whatever I did in my life, I suddenly realized, well, it's not a sudden thing. It's over time I realized that actually every day I'm doing it differently. Now, what is it that I'm doing different? And then I started to look upon it closely. That is that if I look at what I've done, I could find ways to improve it, whatever that is. And that started off when I started to learn A, B, C, D. Learn. What took me 1 week to learn A, the B, C, and D, I could do it very fast. It's the foundation that I built and then improving it. So in my life right now, as I speak to you, whatever I do for this today, I will sit down and ask myself, all right, I've done this. Am I happy with what I've done? That's the first word. Am I happy with what I have done? And the answer will be, yeah, quite happy, but I could do it better. I could do it lesser time. I don't have to fiddle around so many things. Then the question will be how? Well, preparation. You got to prepare before you start something. When you prepare, you spend some time preparing. That's how I developed the formula. If you spend 1 minute preparing, you can save 5 minutes in the execution. So what happens is when you review things that you're doing, you'll always find a way to improve it. That is, if you're seriously looking at the process, you are looking at the goals, you lose it. Only if you look at the process, you'll improve. But you look at that's the goal I set, but didn't achieve it, no? Then you cannot see already. But if you say, hey, what was the process I did? I did this, I did this, I did this. Oh, but that didn't bring me the result I wanted. It gave me something else. Forget that. I'm only looking at the process. Can this process be improved? As you improve the process, the quality of the result will become better.
And then you get closer to your goal.
You get exactly. So we are too much focused on seeing what the goal that you want to achieve. And if I explain something, Ikram, I do not know whether this still goes on or not. In football games, as an example, if you can predict the score of a team or a group over a period of time, you can earn a lot of money. Am I correct or not?
Yes, you're right.
Exact prediction, right?
Yep.
And it's not possible, right? Unless you cheat.
Correct.
Okay, now we know that, right? So therefore, setting a goal is good, but we never examine the process. It is the process that you got to examine. Can I do it better? Can I do it better? Can I do it better? Like today, we're talking about this question of right goal review and how to do that. Now, after this session, I'm sure Ikram, you and me will sit down and go through this entire thing and say, is there a better way to do it? The answer will be yes. Maybe this, maybe that, whatever it is. You see, so I cut that down into a simple 4-letter word, PDCA. Plan something, prepare and plan. Okay? Do it. Don't talk, do it. Then check the result. Are you happy with it? Are you happy with what you've done? If you're not, then the next action. So my review is always to improve the process of how to become better at it. And that is life. You know this for a fact. If you work on an unconscious level, you will never ever progress. That's why today the entire global world is talking about consciousness. If you
Correct.
think consciously, you will do it better. And I developed this simple formula, which is write things down, set a daily goal, and review. When you review what you do, you are actually raising your conscious level. So that the next time you do it, you'll do it better. But what is stopping us? We never ever review what we have done. Look at you and look at the people who go to school. They know already from the very beginning that they have a timetable, they have a deadline for exam. But how often do they sit down and review what they have done? I've studied this chapter, I've studied this, the teacher, what is it that I don't know? Do we do that?
No, we don't.
Exactly. And because you have not done that, it is not in your memory. Or if it is stored in the memory, it's stored all over the place. Like myself, when I sat for my exam, I just went there. What required 2 hours, I did it in 90 minutes. Everything I know, I put it down in a very readable way. That's it. I only put down what I know. I never, ever bullshitted my way. So review is an important part of human life. And when you review, example, when you sit down to eat the food, okay, you will realize that after you've eaten, you tell yourself, I should have not eaten so much. I should have not eaten too many pieces of that. Do you ever do that, or you just walk away?
I've started doing it since I learned about the review process. Definitely. Yeah.
That's
Venga, we have 2 more minutes, so we need to wrap it up. Just to sum up what you were saying about time management, it's write, goal, review. And then you added another element which you just mentioned towards the end, which is to add consciousness into what you're doing. Basically, this right goal review helps you put consciousness into what you're doing, right? Becoming mindful. And that is the key to time management.
Yes, correct. If you become conscious that you have limited time every day, because you are running around and we all are running around as if tomorrow you're going to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not true. So if you take one day at a time and say, today I will achieve this, I'll get this done. What are you? You consciously want to do your very best. Otherwise, you drift into the world of unconsciousness. You're not conscious anymore.
Correct.
The whole world, as you know, is going towards that.
Yes.
To raise the consciousness. That's what they are trying to do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Venga. We've come to the end of our show today. It's been very useful. Right goal review, becoming conscious of what you're doing. And I'm sure this is going to be very meaningful for many of our listeners. To our listeners, happy Diwali again for those that are celebrating. Our next episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs will be happening on December 1st. As usual, it's the first Wednesday of every month.
Thank you very much for attending. In December, we will do the 3rd part of this series on time management. Okay, have a nice Diwali and have a nice life. See you next month on the 1st of December.